You don't belong here. And my own son spat at me, his eyes cold and hard as stone. The room froze. My daughter, in-law's family staring, whispering. I stood there, clutching the dress I'd bought for his wedding, the one I had spent over $100 on. All that money, all those years of sacrifice, and this was how he repaid me. I was shocked, hurt, but mostly betrayed. The truth hit me like a slap. The son I raised, the boy I'd loved and supported through every hardship, now saw me as an obstacle, not a mother, just a problem, a mistake that might ruin his perfect day. That night, as I sat alone in my room, the weight of his words pressed down on me harder than any disappointment before. But somewhere deep inside, a fire sparked. They thought they could push me aside, disrespect me, and get away with it. They had no idea I was ready to fight back. This wedding wasn't just about a dress or a party. It was the moment everything changed, the moment I decided to take back what was rightfully mine. The $100,000 I had given my son for the wedding expenses wasn't a gift anymore. It was leverage, and I was done being silent. What they didn't know was that this was just beginning. Beneath all the smiles and celebrations, secrets lurked. Secrets about the family estate, the inheritance, and the truth about who really controlled our future. I was about to reveal everything, and the people who had turned their backs on me would face consequences they never saw coming. I want you to understand who we are before all this mess started. I'm a parent like any other, proud, hopeful, sometimes a little too trusting. I built a life with my late spouse, working hard to create a comfortable home and leave something lasting for our kids. I have 2 children, my son, Adam, and my daughter, Sarah. Adam is in his early 30s now, handsome, successful in his own right, but lately he's been distant. Sarah, on the other hand, is still the kind, loving daughter I raised, though she's caught in the middle of everything that's happening. Adam married Claire 2 years ago. Claire is ambitious and sharp, but from the start, I felt a distance not just from her, but from Adam himself. It was like the son I knew was slowly slipping away. Claire's family is very traditional, wealthy, and they expect things their way. Their presence added a new tension to our family gatherings. Then there's my trusted lawyer, Mr. Phillips. He's been with our family for over a decade and knows all the details about our estate and legal matters. I trusted him completely, more than some family members, honestly. Close friends like Karen and Michael have been my emotional support through the harder times. They remind me that I'm not alone. Our house, a large estate passed down from my parents, was always a symbol of our family's legacy. Every corner of it holds memories, laughter, and hard work. I dreamed my children would appreciate that they would respect what was built for them. But as the years went on, little things started to change. The warmth I once felt in family dinners began to cool. The laughter faded, and beneath it all, I started to sense something darker. A growing sense of entitlement, a hunger for control, and worse, disrespect. I didn't want to believe it at first, but the cracks were there, and they were growing. Our family didn't just wake up wealthy. We earned every penny through years of sweat, sacrifice, and some tough choices. My late spouse and I started a small business decades ago, nothing fancy, just a humble shop, but over time we expanded, invested wisely, and built an empire. It wasn't easy. There were sleepless nights, moments when we thought we'd lose everything, but we never gave up. That business became the foundation for our family's wealth and the estate we now live in. This estate wasn't just bricks and mortar. It was the embodiment of our dreams, a symbol of the life we fought to create for our children. I wanted Adam and Sarah to understand that, to respect the hard work that went into building this life. More than money, I wanted them to value family, loyalty, and integrity. For years, I imagined them carrying this legacy forward. I pictured family holidays filled with laughter, shared stories, and celebrations that honored our past and future. I hoped Adam would settle down in this house, raise his own kids here, and that Sarah would visit often, making memories that would last generations. But dreams aren't always what they seem. The moment Adam told me about his engagement to Claire, I was happy for him, or so I thought. Claire's family came from old money, and I assumed this union would be a strengthening of bonds. But soon, their expectations clashed with ours. Claire's parents made it clear they wanted the wedding and the future to be perfect. And by perfect, they meant on their terms. My husband's absence left a void, one I tried to fill as best as I could. But in that vacuum, something changed. Adam started to distance himself, taking Claire's side more often than mine. The warmth that had once existed between us began to freeze over. I watched as conversations about the estate and inheritance became more frequent, less about family and more about control and money. I heard whispers of signing papers and legal documents, words I hadn't thought would hold such weight until it was almost too late. I didn't want to believe my own son would betray the values we tried to instill, but the writing was on the wall. The very legacy we built was slipping through my fingers. The first time I noticed something was seriously wrong wasn't dramatic. It was a small moment, one of those little things you might overlook until they pile up like a mountain. Adam had always been respectful, but suddenly I caught a tone in his voice I didn't recognize, a mix of impatience and coldness when we talked about the family estate. Once during a casual dinner, I mentioned an upcoming family gathering, hoping to remind him of our traditions. He barely looked up and said, "Mom, those things aren't important anymore." I remember feeling stunned, like a punch to the gut. Those words weren't just rude. They were a clear sign that the son I knew was changing. The warmth, the respect slipping away. Then there were the sly comments from Claire and her family. At first, it was little jokes about how old-fashioned our house was or how outdated some of our customs felt. I tried to laugh it off, but inside it hurt. The biggest blow came when Adam and Claire asked me to sign papers. They said it was just a formality to settle the estate, but I had a bad feeling. The papers meant giving up part of my rights to the property, the very home I'd lived in for decades. When I hesitated, Adam grew frustrated. "Mom, this isn't up for debate. It's what everyone wants. You just have to sign." It wasn't just pressure, it was a demand, and it scared me. I turned to Mr. Phillips, my lawyer, who confirmed my fears. Once I signed, I'd lose significant control over the estate. The thought of being pushed aside in my own home was unbearable. That's when the whispers started, rumors about who would get what, who had been promised shares, and how Claire's family was quietly maneuvering behind the scenes. I tried talking to Adam, hoping to reach the son I knew, but he dismissed me coldly, even accusing me of holding the family back. The betrayal was no longer subtle. It was in every glance, every word, every action. The wedding was supposed to be a joyful celebration, a day where families come together. Smiles are everywhere, and love fills the air. But for me, it became the moment when everything I had feared came crashing down. I had insisted on helping with the wedding expenses. I wanted to contribute something special, so I gave Adam $100 to cover the venue, catering, and yes, even the dress I picked out for myself. I wanted to look nice, to be part of the day, to feel included. But the moment I arrived, dressed in the elegant gown I'd chosen, the atmosphere shifted. Adam barely greeted me. Claire shot me a look that froze me in place, a look that said I didn't belong. Later, Adam pulled me aside and said, "Mom, your outfit is too much. It's going to steal attention. Please change." I was stunned. How could my own son say that to me? How could he reduce my presence on his special day to just an outfit problem? I told him I had spent a lot of money on that dress, and I wanted to wear it with pride, but he was unrelenting. "You're making things harder." "Everyone," he said coldly, "please just do this one thing for me." I felt tears welling up, but I held my ground. In the end, I didn't change. Instead, I took back the $100 I had given him, telling him, "If you don't want me here as I am, then I won't support this wedding." The room went silent. Claire's family whispered behind their hands. Some guests looked shocked. Adam's face went red with anger. It was a breaking point. That day, I realized how little they valued me, not just as a mother, but as a person. I was a dollar signed to them, a problem to fix, a name on a paper to ignore. The wedding that should have united us only drove a deeper wedge between us. Not long after the wedding, the tension in our family only grew thicker. It was as if the warmth had completely disappeared, replaced by cold demands and carefully disguised threats. One afternoon, Adam and Claire came over with a stack of legal documents in hand. Adam was trying to act casual, but there was an edge to his voice I couldn't ignore. "Mom," he said, "these papers are just to make things official. We need you to sign them so that the estate can be divided fairly between everyone." But I knew better. This wasn't about fairness. I'd spoken with Mr. Phillips, my lawyer, and he warned me these papers would strip me of key rights to the property I had lived in for decades. It would put control of the estate mostly into Adam and Claire's hands. I hesitated, hoping to buy some time, but Adam's tone hardened. "This isn't a request. Claire and I have talked it over with the family. You don't have a choice. Claire smiled sweetly, but her eyes betrayed a different story, one of cold calculation. I looked at the documents again, my heart pounding. Was this really how it was going to be, that I, the person who had built this life, would be forced out by my own son and his wife? I told them I needed time to review everything with my lawyer, but Adam grew impatient. Mom, you're making things difficult. You have to trust us. It's what the family wants. The pressure was suffocating. They weren't just asking for my cooperation, they were demanding my surrender. That night, I sat in my quiet home, the weight of those papers heavy in my mind. How had it come to this? How did the family I loved so much turn into strangers trying to push me out? I was scared, but also angry that my own son was trying to take what wasn't his yet, acting like it was already gone. I decided then that I wouldn't give in without a fight. After the pressure to sign those papers, the family atmosphere grew colder than I ever thought possible. But what really shook me was the web of lies that started to spread like wildfire. Whispers and rumors floated through the family circle, and I could feel the distance growing. I heard Claire's parents telling anyone who'd listened that the estate would be theirs soon, that Adam was promised the lion's share, that my daughter Sarah and I were barely entitled to anything. One day, during a family gathering I had barely wanted to attend, someone let slip that Adam had told Claire's family I was out of the picture when it came to inheritance, that I had supposedly signed away my rights already, which wasn't true. I felt like the ground had shifted beneath me. I confronted Adam privately, hoping for honesty. Is this true? Have you been saying these things about me? He looked away, then replied, Mom, you don't understand. This is just how things work. You need to accept it. Accept it. How could I accept being erased from the family legacy I had worked my entire life to protect? I turned to Sarah, hoping she would be my ally. She was hurt too, caught between her brother and me. But even she admitted the family was changing, and not for better. The lies weren't just words, they were weapons designed to isolate me, weaken me, and force me to surrender everything. I felt trapped, but I knew one thing for certain. I had to find the truth for myself. I had to know if the promises Adam made, the wills he talked about, were real or if this was just a game to push me aside. So I reached out to Mr. Phillips, my lawyer, and asked him to dig deeper. I needed to see the real documents, the real will. Because if there was one thing I'd learned, it was that in a family torn by greed, truth was the only weapon I had left. It all started with a letter, an official, legal-looking envelope from Mr. Phillips, my trusted lawyer. My hands trembled as I opened it, heart pounding. I'd asked him to investigate the estate documents, to find out the truth about the inheritance and what Adam and Claire were hiding. Inside was a letter that changed everything. Mr. Phillips explained that after my spouse passed, there had been a quiet update to the will, one I hadn't been told about. This new will wasn't just a simple document, it was a secret plan, written months ago, that drastically changed the distribution of the estate. According to the letter, the updated will gave me full control over a significant portion of the family estate, including a previously unknown property. This property, a piece of land and a small house in the countryside, had never been mentioned by Adam or Claire. Mr. Phillips had kept this information confidential until now because he wanted me to be fully prepared before confronting the family. I sat there, stunned. How could Adam and Claire keep this from me? How could they pretend the inheritance was set one way when the real truth was completely different? For the first time in months, a glimmer of hope flickered inside me. Maybe this wasn't over. Maybe I still had a chance to protect what was mine, to stand up for myself and the legacy my spouse and I had built. But there was a catch. The will was complex, and challenging it wouldn't be easy. I needed to act carefully or risk losing everything. I knew I had to be smart, and I needed allies. So I called Karen and Michael, my closest friends, and shared the shocking news. Their support was immediate and fierce. I'm with you, Karen said firmly. We'll get through this together. Michael nodded. They thought they could push you out. They don't know who they're messing with. For the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of strength rising inside me. But the biggest challenge was still ahead, confronting my son and his new family, and exposing their lies. The next day, Mr. Phillips invited me to his office. He laid out the details carefully, pulling out documents that Adam and Claire had never mentioned, including the deed to a small but valuable property tucked away in the countryside. It was strange. For years, I had believed the estate was everything: the big house, the land we lived on, the business shares. But this hidden property was a game changer. It wasn't just a piece of land, it was a symbol of control and power that had been deliberately kept from me. Why didn't Adam tell me about this? I asked Mr. Phillips, frustration boiling beneath my calm exterior. He shook his head. That's the question. Whoever knew about this wanted it to stay secret, probably, because it strengthens your position. Holding the deed in my hands, I realized this was more than just paper. It was proof that Adam and Claire had been lying, trying to push me out while hiding crucial facts. But there was more. Mr. Phillips explained that this property came with legal rights that could influence the entire family estate. It was like a secret key to the kingdom, one that they had hoped I would never find. My mind raced. How many other secrets were there? How long had they been manipulating me that night? I sat with the documents spread out on the table, the weight of the betrayal pressing down on me. The people I trusted most had tried to erase me from my own family's story. Yet, now I had leverage. Now I had the means to fight back not just for myself, but for the respect and dignity I deserved. The next step was clear. I had to confront them head on. But this time, I wouldn't be quiet. I would expose everything. I knew the moment I walked into that room, everything was about to change. The air was thick with tension, and the family members gathered around looked surprised to see me arrive. With such determination, I had the will, the deed, and my lawyer's support. But more than that, I had a fire inside me, a fire fueled by betrayal and the refusal to be pushed aside. I held up the documents. I know about the updated will. I know about the hidden property, and I know that some of you have been lying to me. Adam's face paled. Claire's eyes flashed with anger, but I didn't back down. You thought I wouldn't find out. You thought I would sign over everything without question. I said, my voice steady but firm, but I won't. This estate isn't just about money, it's about respect, trust, and family. There were murmurs around the room, but I kept going. I'm reclaiming my rights. The $100,000 I gave for the wedding, consider it returned, and if you think you can push me out, think again. Adam tried to interrupt, but I cut him off. No more lies, no more disrespect. We settle this honestly, or I take every legal step necessary. The room fell silent. The weight of my words hung in the air like a storm waiting to break. My friends Karen and Michael stood beside me, their steady presence a reminder I wasn't alone. In that moment, I realized something important. Power isn't just about who owns what. It's about standing up for yourself even when it feels like the whole world is against you. The day of the family confrontation felt like walking into a battlefield. The room was packed not just with family, but with in-laws, close friends, and even a few neighbors who had caught wind of the tension. I was ready. I wasn't just a mother hurt by betrayal anymore. I was someone who had taken back control and was prepared to fight for what was rightfully hers. Adam sat across from me, his jaw clenched, eyes darting between me and Claire. They looked like a united front, but I saw cracks forming. I can't believe you kept this from me, I said, holding up the secret will and property deeds. For months, you tried to erase me from our family legacy. But I found the truth. Claire's face hardened. This isn't about you anymore. This is about our future. Adam and I deserve this. I shook my head. Your future means nothing if it's built on lies and disrespect. The room erupted into arguments, voices raised, fingers pointed. My daughter Sarah stepped forward, standing by my side. Enough, she said firmly. This family has been divided long enough. It's time to be honest. Mr. Phillips reminded everyone that the law was clear. The updated will was valid and the hidden property belonged to me. The estate couldn't be manipulated by whispers and deceit. Tensions flared, but the truth was undeniable. After the confrontation, I knew I had to act decisively. The legal battles were only beginning, but with the updated will and the hidden property deed in hand, I held the cards. Mr. Phillips helped me file the necessary documents to assert my rights formally. The court process was draining emotionally and financially, but I was determined to see it through. This was about more than money. It was about reclaiming my dignity and the legacy my spouse and I built together. Adam and Claire tried to resist, hiring their own lawyers, sending threatening messages, and even trying to rally family members to their side. But the truth was clear, and with every legal step I took, my position grew stronger. My friends Karen and Michael stood by me through it all, offering support and reminding me why I fought so hard. Slowly, I began to regain control over the estate. The hidden property was secured, and the legal documents confirmed my rights. I wasn't just fighting for myself, I was protecting my daughter's future too. More importantly, I reclaimed my voice in the family. For the first time in months, I felt peace. Not because the battle was over, but because I stood tall, refusing to be silenced. The aftermath of our battle was messy as I expected. Some family members apologized, quietly admitting they had been blinded by greed. Others stayed silent, their cold shoulders a daily reminder of the cracks that might never fully heal. Adam was the hardest to face. Our conversations turned from tense to almost non-existent. The son I once knew seemed lost beneath the weight of his own choices. Claire's family distanced themselves, their once warm smiles replaced by avoidance. The wedding that was meant to unite us had become the line that divided us forever. But even in the fallout, I found clarity. I realized that while some relationships might never return to what they were, I had reclaimed something far more valuable, my self-respect. I also saw my daughter Sarah in a new light. She stood with me through everything, proving that family isn't just about blood, but loyalty and love. In quiet moments, I reflected on what had happened. Money had threatened to tear us apart, but in the end, it was respect or the lack of it that defined everything. Looking back, it's hard to put into words the mix of emotions I went through. Betrayal cuts deeper than any wound, especially when it comes from the people you love most. My son, the boy I held in my arms, the one I thought would always stand by me, became a stranger. Trust, once broken, is almost impossible to rebuild. I felt foolish at times for believing everything would be okay, for thinking love alone could hold a family together, but I learned that love, while powerful, isn't enough when respect is missing. It wasn't just Adam or Claire who disappointed me, it was the way some family members stayed silent, choosing convenience over loyalty. I realized that betrayal isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet withdrawal, the cold looks, the whispered conversations behind your back. But amidst the pain, I also discovered resilience. I found strength I didn't know I had, and a fierce determination to protect what was mine. The fight was about more than money or property. It was about standing up for myself and showing my children the importance of integrity. In the end, betrayal taught me to be cautious, but not to close my heart, to be wise, but not bitter. Throughout this painful journey, I learned lessons that no one warns you about. Money can bring comfort and security, but it can also expose the worst in people: greed, selfishness, and cruelty. It's a double-edged sword that cuts through the heart of family if you're not careful. I used to believe that providing for my children financially was the greatest gift I could give them. I thought that leaving a legacy of wealth would secure their futures and bring them closer together, but I was wrong. What I learned is that money without respect is meaningless. You can have all the wealth in the world, but if your family doesn't honor you, if they see you as nothing more than a bank account, then that money becomes a curse. Respect isn't something you demand. It's earned through kindness, trust, and standing by each other in good times and bad. And when respect disappears, so does the foundation of family. I also learned the importance of boundaries. It's okay to say no, to protect yourself and your rights, even when it feels uncomfortable. Sometimes standing up for yourself means making hard decisions like taking back the $100,000 I gave for the wedding or refusing to sign unfair documents. Family should be about support and love, but sometimes it requires hard truths and tough love, and sometimes it means walking away from people who refuse to treat you with dignity. After everything that happened after the fights, the tears, the shattered trust, I stand here today stronger than ever. The battle for my family's legacy wasn't just about land or money. It was about something far more important: respect. They say money changes people. Maybe that's true, but what I discovered is that respect is what truly defines us. It's the foundation on which love and family are built. Without it, everything else falls apart. My son, my daughter, and even my in-laws now understand that respect isn't optional. It's a requirement. And when you treat someone with disrespect, especially your own mother, there are consequences. I hope my story serves as a warning and a lesson. Wealth can bring challenges you never imagined, and sometimes the people closest to you can become your greatest Adversaries, but no matter what, never let anyone make you feel worthless. Stand up for yourself, fight for your dignity, and protect your legacy not just in assets, but in honor. Because at the end of the day, respect matters more than money, and now they know it too.